Is Diablo 4 just a modern retelling of the Sin War trilogy books? When the game first came out and I heard that Inarius and Lilith were in it, that was exactly my first thought. Reading the trilogy right before the base game came out, there are 5 different direct parallels in the modern Diablo 4 story, including the Cathedral of Light and the Triune, parallels between the Wanderer and the Edyrum, the appearance of Rathma, and in some sense Tragoul, as well as others. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 different parallels between these two stories and what they may hint for future Diablo 4 content. First off, I want to talk about the 2 entities, the Cathedral of Light and the Triune. In the Sin War, these were the 2 ruling bodies of faith that were factioning against one another. And in both cases, the Cathedral of Light was actually led by the Archangel Inarius, the creator of Sanctuary. And in the book, the Triune was led in the background by the Prime Evils. The difference is in Diablo 4, in the Cathedral of Light, Inarius is not hiding behind a human visage like he did in the Sin War as the prophet. And the Triune this time around isn't led by the Prime Evils, but is led by Lilith herself with a different goal. See, in the Sin War books, the Prime Evils were using the Triune to gain influence over members of Sanctuary and converting them through the background towards an allegiance for Hell, because Hell wanted to use Sanctuary as an outpost against the High Heavens. Inarius, he wanted to fight back against the Hells because he knew if the Hells started to get too involved with Sanctuary, the High Heavens will find out about Sanctuary and he would be in a whole lot of trouble because of it. Now in Diablo 4, the goals of these 2 organizations are different. Inarius wants to use the Cathedral of Light to redeem himself in the eyes of the High Heavens so he can be granted access to heaven once more. And he believes that the key to doing so is by following Rathma's prophecy and taking down Lilith and potentially Mephisto. Now, in the Sin War books, Lilith was against the Triune, and her primary goal was to protect Sanctuary and empower her children. So the contrast here is that the Triune isn't trying to take over Sanctuary as servants and slaves to the demons. Instead, they're an army for Lilith to fight against a potential invasion from Hell, including her own father. And she builds this army by empowering her children directly through her blood, which brings us to the next topic here, which is the comparison between the Wanderer and the Edyrum, specifically Uldyssian. Now in the Sin War, Uldyssian's Nephilim powers were awakened directly through contact with Lilith, whom she tapped into the latent birthright power of Uldyssian and a number of other folks and awoken that power within them while the World Stone was still around. Now in Diablo 4, with the World Stone destroyed, technically anyone could become Nephilim, but it's still very rare, with the only significant figures that have become so being the heroes from Diablo 3. Now, in Diablo 4, the Wanderer is tricked in Nevesk to drink Lilith's blood. So now, through her influence, whom he happened to overcome so far as to making this video, it resulted in him becoming empowered and possibly being awakened to his birthright. Now, in Diablo 4, they have yet to say that the Wanderer is a Nephilim, but we were hinted towards that through conversations through Season 5's Triune members when the Wanderer was receiving Mother's gift. Also, in the fight against Mephisto's Harbinger, he specifically brings up the Wanderer's birthright. So I think it's just a matter of time before the Wanderer fully awakens as a Nephilim, and that could potentially occur in the next expansion when he should go up against Mephisto as his first primeval opponent. Now, another comparison we can make here is Elias was the right hand of Lilith in the Triune, and back in the Sin War trilogy, the right hand man of the Primus, who was Lilith's brother, Lucian, so there's a direct parallel there. And his right-hand man was just a human, and this one was a Malic, who is also a powerful mage and cleric. Similar to who Elias was to Lilith, is that the firstborn ancient and Nephilim, Rathma, was present significantly in the Sin War, and also in Diablo 4, primarily due to his prophecy. Now, in the Sin War books, Rathma and Tragoul himself were very heavily directly involved in the story, and they were characters that the Edyrum, both Odyssean and mostly his brother Mendel, who was the first necromancer, got to meet and interact with to help strategize against taking down Inarius, the Triune, as well as the invading forces of hell. Now in Diablo 4, which unfortunately I wasn't a huge fan of, Rathma did meet his demise early on, and we didn't get to directly meet Trag'Oul. However, his prophecy is still very much in place. Now, what do these parallels potentially mean for Diablo's future? So one big part is the return of Tyrael and Heaven's involvement. Now, from a lore perspective, the reason why the angels were not involved in Diablo 4 is because after what happened in Diablo 3 when the prime evil Diablo attacked the high heavens, and then malthael did the whole great enmity wiping out most of Sanctuary, the angels had to help take down their own brother. They closed off their gates from Sanctuary. Now, what would stir them to open their gates once more and get involved? Every time that the angels did get involved, including Tyrael, if not more, was when Sanctuary was seriously threatened to becoming another outpost of hell to be used against the high heavens. And with Mephisto's return in the next expansion, that is higher motivation than any for the angels to come back. And I see this happening in two different ways. One, the angels will help Sanctuary in pushing back the demons. This could be through Tyrael, who formed the Herodrum Order as well as the new Herodrum to push back the demons of hell and trap the prime evils. And hey, this would be a great opportunity for Tyrael to return and bring in a new class of warriors fighting under him, like say a Paladin class, like this scrapped piece of concept art, which does seem to have a somewhat angelic presence. The other way that this could be involved, which was also covered in the Sin War, was with Sanctuary's destruction. So we know that in Diablo 3, Imperius was very outspoken about how much he disliked Sanctuary and that the Nephilim were a threat, not to mention why malthael acted in the first place, because he saw all of humanity as unclean abominations that were half demons, so he wanted to purge them all. Maybe we'll get some help from Tyrael, but I don't think this time his brother Imperius is going to stand idly by and let Sanctuary exist in its current state. And frankly, given the mythic unique item, the Heir of Perdition, stating that it increases damage against not only demons but also angels, very possible that we'll see them as enemies coming up. And that could be really exciting because it could possibly mean we can go up head to head against Imperius, which would be something that I personally would be really excited for, because frankly, I felt like in Diablo 4, we were robbed a direct confrontation with Inarius outside of just cutscenes. Are there any other parallels that I may have missed that you guys have noticed? If so, be sure to comment down below. Now, if you all are interested in seeing how these videos are put together and seeing the magic, so to speak, behind the scenes, be sure to support the channel further by becoming a YouTube member or supporting me on Patreon. If you like Diablo lore and want to see more videos like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you for watching. Until next time.